The story about Jeffrey Epstein, it's not what Jeffrey Epstein was, it's what he wasn't. And the organizations that who really ran the show, who were never talked about. And how for the longest time we are still under this delusion, as are you, that Jeffrey Epstein was about sextortion and trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein is often discussed as a monstrous predator, and rightfully so. But focusing only on child sex trafficking conceals something even darker and more complex than any reality you could imagine. The deeper history points to operations tied to money laundering, arms trafficking, and intelligence work stretching across decades. That is why the mainstream media avoid going beyond the sensational headlines. They do not want the public asking whom he served, whom he threatened, or whom he protected. They want Epstein to look like an isolated creep, a predator, not a strategic asset. Understand this or understand nothing. We will never receive an affidavit from the FBI, CIA, ISI, MI6, MI5, Mossad, Scotland Yard, intel operations, and the like are built to avoid documentation, verification, and the like. What we do have is a trail of patterns, verifiable actual patterns, and names, and improbable rises to power. And you stack them, and a network emerges. Epstein's sudden leap from college dropout to working at Dalton under the tutelage of Bill Barr's father, to Bear Stearns' partner, to global fixer, all of this makes no sense without institutional backing. He called himself a financial bounty hunter. He specialized in locating stolen money and hiding money from billionaires offshore. That requires training and access. Training and access normally reserved for agencies or trusted intermediaries. You see, his path too often intersects with power than coincidence. You see, he was tied to Adnan Khashoggi, the Saudi arms trafficker involved in the Iran Contra. Months after leaving Bear Stearns in 1981, he was reportedly flying on a private jet with a number of arms traffickers, Douglas Lease, flying there to the Pentagon, it was reported. Why would someone with no degree or credentials be traveling with the arms network unless someone positioned him there, unless he was strategically placed there? Figures like Jimmy Goldsmith and Robert Maxwell surround the same kind of constellation. Maxwell had documented ties to Israeli intelligence and others. His daughter, Ghislaine, remember her? She became Epstein's closest ally. How do you think that happened? You think that was random? You think that was, wow, look at the fate, the idea. You think maybe their stars aligned? It is structural. It is deliberate. There is a tactic that has been called, and it's been referred to, and you might have heard it, as playing the box. You might have heard this. You commit crimes in ways that tie others into your wrongdoing. You make it embarrassing to charge you. That strategy is not streetwise. It's intel tradecraft. And someone taught Epstein how to compromise people. And once he had leverage, he had value. Consider Donald Barr, the father of Bill Barr. He hired Epstein to teach at the prestigious Dalton School here in New York City with no credentials and had OSS ties. This is a father. Later, Bill Barr oversaw Epstein's custody when he allegedly committed suicide. But you know, and I know what that was about. You know, he was dispatched. I've said it to the point of, Donald Barr also wrote a novel about a futuristic elite ruling a sex slave planet. The symbolism is chilling. When patterns repeat across names and decades, it is no longer conspiracy. It is operational history. Now look at the Oval Office. Epstein visited the Clinton White House 17 times. That fact was hidden until 2022. The aide who arranged those meetings, Mark Middleton, later happened to turn up dead. Officially, of course, suicide, yet found hanging with a shotgun wound to the chest, the weapon allegedly 30 yards away. Another associate, Jean Luc Brunel, died by suicide in custody in France. Steven Hoffenberg, tied to the Towers financial Ponzi scheme, and who later blamed Epstein as its architect, also died mysteriously. The people close to the truth keep disappearing. And this is why the trafficking narrative dominates. It freezes public morality at the emotional level. You see, once disgust is triggered, investigation stops. But Epstein's history and the ties to Iran Contra financing and junk bond schemes and savings and loan scandals, offshore tax networks, all of that combines. He was useful. Useful people are protected until they become liabilities, until they're not useful. Then they're removed. It was not moral outrage that brought him down, it was timing. And the real reason both major parties avoid full disclosure is simple. Too many names connect and interconnect and intersect. Too many questions lead to power structures that would collapse under scrutiny. Politicians talk about protecting victims, but they protect files and they protect donors and they protect careers. If the full network is exposed, trust in government, finance, and media collapse all at once. So the sex trafficking story is true and horrifying, but it's also the narrowest portion of the operation. She keeps the public from looking at various intel ties. Yeah, Mossad, CIA, yes, and others, and countries and intel agencies that don't have a name, that aren't denoted as such. Intel networks, Pentagon flights, Bear Stearns tax strategies, whatever. It prevents questions about why Epstein was on the fast track, why he rose so quickly, and why so many convenient deaths occurred after exposure began. This isn't, nobody's just, this sounds like people are being needlessly, needlessly conspiratorial, but just follow the facts. This is not about one man. It's about how power really moves, unseen, unaccountable, and uninterrupted. And until the files are released, we have names, patterns, and questions. Too many to dismiss. Not enough to prosecute, of course. And that is exactly how the system survives. Only one question matters now. How long are we going to pretend that this one man acted alone? How long? And how long are these so-called journalists going to pretend that that's the extent of the story, that this was just about sex trafficking? When is it going to get deeper? It's not, because there is an absolute rule, and this is also tradecraft and reality. When people die, stories go away. Stories go away. In a couple of days, November 22nd, will be the 62nd anniversary of the death of the 35th president, John Kennedy. He got away with that. You think getting away with the Epstein case is tough? We lose interest. The path, the trail, the interest level goes. We can throw these names over and over again. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hit the level. Maybe because it might just not be Americans, but maybe all of us are incurious. Maybe we've hit this news for so long that we just don't care anymore. Maybe we've just habituated to it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the issue. It's fascinating, isn't it? Absolutely, positively fascinating. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Please like this video. Please hit that little bell and little icon to be notified of new streams and new videos. And make sure you subscribe. And make sure at the end of this, under the comment section, you comment on the questions I have, as you comment as you see fit. As I always ask you, I implore and beseech and entreat you to comment as you see fit. Thank you.